So this celebrity leaked her own nudes, and somehow this kid went to prison. Now the kid goes by the name Plugwalkjoe, and he's 19 during this time, and he's a hacker living in England. And Plugwalkjoe wants what a lot of people want: money and internet attention. So one day in 2018, he uses his hacking skills and he starts targeting well-known people. Like, he starts off by hacking Logan Paul's YouTube channel, then he hacks Logan Paul's Twitter account, and on the Twitter account, he tweets as Logan to Logan's followers that if they want to see Logan Paul's sex tape, to follow Plugwalkjoe. Which is stupid, but I don't know, it's kind of funny. The next year, in 2019, he and his hacker buddies target a cryptocurrency company based in Manhattan. And they use a SIM swapping technique and they take over the phones of some of the employees there. And doing this, they're able to steal $794,000 worth of crypto from this company. Which is great for Plugwalkjoe because now he has some money. And he could lay low and enjoy all this new money he got, but that's not what Plugwalkjoe does. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making this video. See, he still wants some of that internet attention, which means he has to hack some more influencers so that he can use their social media to shout out his name. So that same year, he moves from England all the way down to Spain. And from here, he and his hacker friends, they target more well-known people's Twitter accounts. He hacks King Batch, he hacks James Charles, he hacks Chloe Grace Moretz, and he just posts a bunch of somewhat random trolly stuff, nothing too nefarious. It really seems like they're just trying to get a few laughs. But after that, he and his hacking buddies, they go after an even bigger target: Jack Dorsey, the co-founder and then CEO of Twitter. And so they hack him. And of course, they just use his account to shout themselves out and post a bunch of racial slurs. Then Plugwalkjoe hacks into actress Bella Thorne's phone using a SIM swap technique. And through this, he gets access to her Twitter account and he starts tweeting out dumb shit, shouting his account out again. Follow my homie Plugwalkjoe. But he also gets access to her Snapchat. And there, he gets access to her intimate photos that she had taken for her boyfriend, her nudes. And I guess he just starts texting her phone because he has all of her information now, and he tries to blackmail her. He demands that she make a public video thanking him and tagging him in all his friends' accounts. And if she doesn't, of course, he's gonna release her nudes. And Bella Thorne, who's apparently some kind of badass because she refuses to be blackmailed, and she's like, you, and she releases all her nudes herself. She just posts them all on Twitter. So good for her. But whatever, Plugwalkjoe just keeps going. And in 2020, he's around 21 years old at this time. He and his friends hack TikTok star Dixie D'Amelio's TikTok account. And they just upload a bunch of random videos to her page, and one of the hacker's friends uses her account to go live.
Hey, follow at Coid on Instagram, follow at Erotic.
Then they also hack TikToker Addison Rae's account, and they take it over for a while. Now, you might be thinking, I don't know, Ray, Plugwalkjoe sounds kinda cool. So what if he hacked a few influencers and stole a little crypto? Like, that's not a big deal. Oh, but Plugwalkjoe has a bit of a darker side. Because one day, that same year, he's hanging out in a Discord server a bunch of hackers hang out in. And there, he meets this girl, who we'll call 16, because she's 16. And 16, she lives in California, and she's also a bit of a hacking enthusiast herself. And despite the age difference, Joe immediately starts creeping on her. He thinks she is fine. And he moves on her real quick. Within a few days, he's sending her lots of inappropriate messages, explicit inappropriate messages, like things he wants to do to her, things I won't repeat. Here's the thing though, 16 isn't really feeling him at all. She thinks he's way too old for her, and correctly so. But Plugwalkjoe doesn't seem to care. He starts cyber-stalking her, sending her more creepy, explicit messages. Within a few days, he has already sent her a picture of his junk. And so 16, she gets tired of him pretty quickly, and she threatens to hack him in retaliation. She also goes over to the Discord server that they hang out in, and she posts that picture of his junk that he sent her for everyone to see and laugh at. And this pisses Plugwalkjoe off. And he's like, oh, hell no. And he is not gonna let this slide. And he decides to swat her. At one point, he calls the local police in her area saying he's an armed and dangerous individual and he threatens to unalive his wife and children, and then he gives them what he thinks is her address so that the police show up to her house. He also emails her school's principal pretending to be her, and he says that she has plans to bring a pew-pew to school to take out some very specific groups of people. He also calls the local sheriff, I guess pretending to be her, and he claims that she's gonna blow up the local airport. He also calls her relatives, and he starts telling them that he's gonna harm them and 16. Cause bro is like suddenly a terrorist. And all of these swatting attempts I just named happened in the same day. Now, I guess he eventually leaves her alone. I actually don't know how that saga between them ended. I couldn't find anything on it. But what I do know is that around this time, there's another Twitter hack. But this one is huge, the biggest in the history of Twitter. Because Plugwalkjoe and a bunch of hackers apparently get together and they hack over 130 Twitter accounts. Mostly of extremely famous people, including the accounts of Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Jeff Bezos, Apple, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Kanye West, Floyd Mayweather, Wiz Khalifa, a bunch of people. But this time, they're promoting a link to some kind of Bitcoin scam. And through this Bitcoin scam, they're able to make $118,000 in Bitcoin from people who clicked on the link and fell for the scam. And I assume all these hackers end up splitting up the money between themselves. Here's the thing though. Because they targeted such high-profile accounts in this stunt, this hack blows the up.
And we have breaking news from Twitter. The company is dealing with a major hack.
The accounts include former Vice President Joe Biden, Elon Musk, Apple.
And once this starts getting media attention and it's all over the news, I guess Plugwalkjoe realizes the feds are probably going to get involved. Which, yeah, if you hack a former president's Twitter account, the government might investigate you. And so Plugwalkjoe wants to get out ahead of this. So from Spain, he calls the American feds on the telephone, and he basically says, this hack, it wasn't me. And he gives them the names of other hackers who he says were involved. Not only that, he admits to a bunch of those smaller Twitter hacks he did in the past. He basically says, yeah, those hacks were me, but this big one wasn't. So, not only is he admitting to past crimes, even if he thinks they were small, but he's inadvertently linking himself to this big recent Twitter hack. And so immediately the feds open an investigation into him and they start gathering evidence against him. And they start working with Spanish National Police to surveil him, and eventually Spanish National Police, boom, they bust in and they raid his apartment and bam, they arrest Plugwalkjoe. Here's a picture of him getting escorted by police. And he spends 2 years in Spanish jail, and then he's extradited to the US, and there he gets sentenced to 5 years in prison. And a huge shout out to Leonardo.ai for sponsoring this video. If you make videos and you want to make really badass art for those videos, like this, or like this, like look at how cool that is. Sign up for Leonardo.ai.